We are joined at the big table by Ellis.
I made it.
And the reason we're doing this is because we got back earlier today from shooting a video with the Tesla Cybertruck. This is officially the week of the first deliveries. There's going to be
10
sometime right before this recording drops, the first delivery event where there's rumored to be, 10 or 15 Cybertrucks being delivered.
Yeah.
But the point is they're going to be out on the streets. The official delivery specs and new information about what you're actually going to buy instead of just the prototype truck is revealed. And so now we get to react to that stuff. And I'm also one of 3 people outside of Tesla to have driven the Cybertruck. And wow, do I have some thoughts on driving the thing. So, Ellis, you were with me for a lot of that recording. David, you have thoughts, probably questions about it. You have not seen the Cybertruck.
I have many questions.
I just want to background it with this.
Yeah.
Going into it, I'm sure a lot of us were skeptical. Not sure if it was real, not sure how close it would be to the actual concept truck. Now that I've actually seen it, driven it, used it, I have several really big praises of it and also several really big negatives too.
Okay.
So
Good.
there are definitely big positives, big negatives. I think let's just start with the numbers because they're the things that everyone wanted to know about as it got revealed. All of the numbers on paper except 0 to 60 are worse than they promised.
Oof.
And this is the first time that's true about a Tesla.
Yikes.
I feel like they always are usually able to deliver what they promise, just really late. This time, straight up, all the numbers are worse. So those numbers are, there are 3 trims, a single motor rear-wheel drive, a dual motor all-wheel drive, and a triple motor powertrain. The triple motor being the highest end one that we tested. It's dual motors in the back with torque vectoring, and a single permanent magnet motor up front.
Can you explain torque vectoring for people who don't know cars like
Yeah,
myself?
it's
AKA
essentially
me and
just
David,
you're
yeah.
able to independently control the rear wheels. So if you go around a turn, you can independently slow down the inside wheel with one motor while you accelerate the other outside wheel with the other motor.
It's like what the F1 cars did, right?
Exactly.
You know when you're on the BART and you go around a corner and you hear that terrible screeching noise?
Yeah.
That's because the BART trains barely have differentials and torque vectoring is not happening.
Okay.
It's tough.
Okay, got it.
So here's the numbers on the truck. They originally promised 500 miles of range on the highest end truck.
Yeah.
The highest end truck has 340 miles of range.
Oof.
They originally promised
When you say highest end, do you mean like most range?
most efficient, most range.
Okay.
Yeah. They originally promised
340 from 500.
Yeah, they promised 14,000 pounds of towing capacity. It has 11,000 pounds of towing capacity.
Yikey.
They promised a 2.9 second 0 to 60. It is a 2.7 second 0 to 60. So it's
Okay.
actually faster.
Interesting.
They promised $69,900 for the triple motor. It is $100,000. Yeah. So that's the highest end Cybertruck triple motor, $100,000, 340 miles of range. And that will ship alongside the dual motor as the first one's out the factory, and the single motor rear wheel drive will be later. The dual motor, we're thinking, again, this is pre-event, but it's probably around 75 to 85 grand.
Okay.
So that's on paper. The truck itself is also about 5% smaller in every dimension than the original truck.
Huh.
We went up with an F-150 Lightning to go shoot this, and it is a little bit smaller than the F-150 Lightning. Whereas,
Really?
the original truck was about the same size.
Interesting.
That being said, it's still the same 6-foot bed size as an F-150. It just has a much smaller front trunk. Very small, shallow front trunk.
So I can't lie in it with Brandon this time?
You can't lie down in it. The Rivian has a bigger front trunk. The F-150 has a bigger front trunk. Even the small GMC Hummer EV has a bigger front trunk.
Little tiny Hummer EV.
Yeah, but you
that-
could fit 2 carry-on bags.
The Hummer EV is still bigger than all of these cars, right?
The Hummer EV is gigantic.
It's huge, yeah.
It has a 200-something kilowatt-hour battery
Okay.
and weighs 9,000 pounds.
The Hummer EV.
The Hummer EV.
Okay.
The Cybertruck has, every one of them will have a 123 kilowatt-hour battery and will weigh about 6,800 pounds. So it's lighter than the Rivian,
Oh.
Which is
How
impressive.
much does a Rivian weigh?
about 7,500 pounds.
Okay.
So
You just know all this off the top of your head.
Yeah.
yeah, sorry. A lot of numbers, but like
That's
this
our
is the first time
specialty
we're
in the
learning.
tech review space.
Yeah, but this is the specs. This is
Memorizing
the first time
specs.
we actually get the specs.
Yeah.
So again, some positive and negative in there.
I have a question.
Sure.
So you said the max price was 100,000.
That's the roughly starting price of the triple motor.
How much is the cheapest cheap one?
We don't know yet. TBD.
Oh, okay, interesting.
We'd be guessing, but I don't think it's going to be anywhere near the originally promised $39,900.
Yeah.
Probably.
Do you think they'll
be,
reveal it at the event?
I don't think so. I think they're going to start with the dual and triple, and I think we'll find out months from now.
To be fair to Tesla, Rivian did the same thing and jacked the price by a lot.
Exactly.
So, okay.
And there's been a bunch of talk about this, how like when this truck was first announced years ago, it launched into a very different world than we live in now, which is like some inflation, some new wars, like some totally different circumstances. So yeah, it's a different time to be building this thing.
Yeah.
But at least the product is done now, and we can actually analyze the product itself.
Yeah.
So, Ellis, you've seen it in person.
Yeah.
What were your reactions to riding in it, seeing it, observing its reality?
I know. Okay, first I want to say I know I've been clowning on this thing, on this very show for months. I have been ridiculing the Cybertruck relentlessly. It's awesome. It's so awesome, which I totally recognize that if the roads were exclusively full of Cybertrucks, the world would be objectively a worse and scarier and more dangerous place.
Mr. Let's All Ride Bikes.
But the 11-year-old boy in me thinks this thing totally kicks ass. It's so cool. The photos, you don't do it justice.
That's the thing for me.
When you see it in person, it's really striking and it's really beautiful and it's reflective in the perfect way. And
does it actually feel well constructed and built, and doesn't feel like they just slapped a bunch of panels together that made it like
No.
It feels dirty, like dirty build.
wait, you think it feels like a dirty build?
Yeah.
Oh, I was going to say the opposite.
Interesting.
Let's hear it.
So there's
Debate.
two parts of this.
Yeah.
One, just like the prototype truck obviously is going to feel like a prototype, but the finished truck, I think, is a mix of
you weren't in a finished truck?
we were in a finished truck.
Oh, okay.
So I rode the original prototype
Yeah.
like 4 years ago.
For sure.
And that thing, it was at night. I couldn't even tell like what was made of what. It was just a quick glancing blow with the Cybertruck. Seeing this final one, it's like, okay, now everything is well formed, and even panel gaps are pretty even, but this was the hand-selected truck to give to us to shoot on camera.
Right.
And even this truck had a couple slightly oddly shaped gaps. And the difference between the gaps on the truck we were testing versus the gaps on the 10 other trucks that I observed,
Yeah.
which, to be fair,
you saw the
weren't
other
final
ones.
trucks, but I saw lots of other Cybertrucks and had lots of other differences in build.
Yeah.
So that's something I observed. And the other thing is I just like pulled up on the dashboard and like was just pulling on things and just feeling general materials. It's not great. It's like a Tesla.
Yeah.
It's fine.
No,
It's
you're
fine.
right.
It's not amazing. It's
Yeah.
not horrible, but
Sure.
it's a Tesla. It's fine.
A piece fell off before we even started testing it. Like we arrived at the location we were
Yeah.
going to shoot at, and Vin was like, "Oh my god, this thing is like dangling off."
What was it?
And you like put it back
It was
on.
just like a plastic body
plastic
panel.
trim piece.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, it is what it is. Lots of other interesting things about it though.
Yeah, let's go.
So, okay, first of all, it's an 800 volt system, which is good news for future proofing. That means all the V4 superchargers that Tesla's building with the longer cable, it will charge even faster at those, probably over 1,000 miles an hour, which is awesome.
Well, V3 charges over 1,000.
V3 charges at about 1,000 miles an hour for the Model 3, which is a 400 volt system. This new 800 volt system will likely be even faster when you charge on V4s,
Okay.
but it's also backwards compatible with V3s because it cleverly talks to the V3 charger, virtually splits it, actually physically splits it into two smaller battery packs and charges them each.
Oh, wow.
At
It's like the
this fast
Oppo,
rate. Yeah,
Oppo battery
it's like a
system.
phone. Yeah, so I thought that was really clever.
That's cool. That's cool.
So it's an 800
so
volt
charge a lot
system.
faster then, right?
It'll charge a lot faster. It will also have much less wire mass. Generally, should be better at dissipation of heat.
Exactly. Yeah. They was Wes the head engineer
Of the
Cyber-
the Cybertruck.
So we were looking at the head engineer of the Cybertruck product was there, and he was explaining to us that a lot of the low voltage wires they actually stepped up to 48 volts, so they could step down the wattage and have a much thinner wire without having to worry about it burning out. He said, and this is a very Tesla engineer thing to say, he was like, we were approaching the limits of how thin a wire could physically be. You
That seems like a bad idea.
okay. You know, it's like
That seems
really
like it could break really easily.
No, they're strong wires. It's just
Okay.
typically to push that much current through a wire, you need a
Right.
thicker wire, and they're able to use thin wires.
Yeah.
now, which is
Okay.
cool.
Okay.
Neat.
Cool.
That much wattage. Because they dropped the current.
Sorry, yes, wattage.
Yeah.
Thank you. Physics.
You like me, Ohm's Law, electrical engineering students?
Sorry, I'm an amateur.
This one's for you.
I was
what
just
I will
looking up
say-
the equation.
Resistance, all that fun stuff.
Okay.
Here's my favorite thing about the truck.
Okay.
The number one most unique, most amazing thing about the Cybertruck is not the way it looks. It's the way it drives.
Yep.
It's crazy.
Yep.
It's
Why?
a crazy drive.
Why?
So first of all, it is a ridiculously powerful truck, right? Triple motors. We're looking at 850-ish horsepower.
Okay.
Off the line, it'll smoke. Name any sports car, it's going to beat it off the line in a straight line. That's just like the party trick that Tesla's good at. They've been good at that for a while. They know that'll sell people. The tug of war with an F-150, I'm sure it'll crush like great. I'm used to that. That's fine. This is also Tesla's first steer-by-wire system. And they've combined it with this like squircle. It's not a yoke anymore. It's like a full round steering wheel, but like flattened, so like a rectangle.
Oh.
But the amount of turn required by the wheel to turn the truck is tiny.
Really?
And there is up to 10 degrees of rear axle steering. And you can see it just looking at the rear wheel. When you turn it, the entire thing snaps, and at low speeds, it like carves in a much smaller wheelbase. It's a tight turning radius. And at high speeds, it actually changes wheels in the same direction. So you kind of glide from left to right. And the entire turn, like, you know how when you go to make like a K turn, you kind of do hand over hand and flip the wheel over a few times?
Turn?
If you need to turn around on a 2-lane road, and it's too narrow, you like pull over,
Yeah.
back
to the right,
up,
back up, to the left,
then go.
back up. Yeah.
Cybertruck's full lock turn is 170 degrees, meaning you never have to go hand over hand. The entire turn is just this, and it's
It's
this is
crazy.
terrible like audio because you have to see it to understand what I'm saying. But long story short, it's the most nimble truck I've ever driven because you can really turn in ways that you
very
feel like you're just pivoting around the middle of the truck.
It's almost like you're using a joystick because a like full max rotation of the wheels literally is a single hand over hand turn on the wheel. Like in theory, you could get all possible turning motions without ever removing your hands from 11 and 4.
Yeah.
Or the numbers that you're supposed to touch on the wheel.
9
and 2.
10 and 2. Yeah.
11 and 4 would be nuts. That'd be a crazy way to drive.
That's how I drive.
So it is a super, super nimble feeling truck.
Okay.
Much more so than the
makes it fun.
Rivian, than the F-150. And it just makes it much more usable in small spaces.
Yeah. Which is important for a truck that large.
It's important. And it is a big truck, but it feels like I can place it more easily at low speeds, especially than even the smaller Rivian.
Do you guys want to see my impression of a noble gas?
Yes.
Oh, good heavens, I am quite inert with my full valence electrons and all of this money and nobility in my coffers.
You forgot your crown.
Oh,
Ellis,
yeah,
do you have back pain
yeah, no. Why? What?
from carrying all those valence electrons?
This is why we don't do hardcore science on the podcast
Why
for
not?
everyone that's asking, because it always ends up like this, David.
What's wrong with that?
Because people should be clicking the like and subscribe button, and instead they're listening to me telling possibly the worst joke I've ever had to tell.
Why
on
can't they
air.
click the like and subscribe button while listening to the worst joke they've ever heard on air?
You know, because I think that joke was so bad it might have turned some people away. But if you really like us,
I really liked it. And it made me subscribe.
Hit the button.
You know you want to.